Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm really glad you decided to join me today because we're going to talk about something that can make or break your entire English learning journey: effective listening. My name is Sam, and I'm a YouTuber who specializes in motivation and language acquisition. Over the years, I've seen just how crucial strong listening skills are for achieving genuine fluency in a new language. But here's the thing: listening can sometimes be more challenging than speaking or reading. You're trying to keep up with different accents, fast speech, unfamiliar phrases, and all sorts of unpredictable scenarios. It's no wonder a lot of learners get stuck or frustrated. But don't worry, today we're going to explore practical, evidence-based techniques to turn you into a more confident and capable listener. By the end of this video, you'll have a brand new perspective on how to train your ear, pick up natural speech patterns, and stay motivated even when it feels like the speaker is going a million miles an hour. So let's jump right in. The first thing I want you to understand is that listening is more than just hearing words. It's an active process that involves focus, interpretation, and sometimes even prediction. Imagine you're trying to tune into a distant radio station. You have to adjust the dial carefully, filter out static, and identify the words through the noise. That's essentially what your brain is doing when you listen to English, especially if you're not yet used to the speed and rhythm of native speakers. A lot of people assume that if they simply watch enough English videos or TV shows, their listening will automatically improve. But that's only partially true. Passive exposure can help, especially with overall familiarity, but to truly sharpen your comprehension, you need to practice something we call mindful listening. This means you engage fully in what you're hearing. You're not just letting the words wash over you. You're actively trying to understand them, anticipate what might come next, and connect them to what you already know. Let's talk about how to do that. One of my favorite techniques is something I call targeted listening blocks. Instead of watching a full 30-minute show passively, focus on a short segment, maybe 2 or 3 minutes long, and really immerse yourself. Listen without any subtitles, then replay that exact segment again. The second time, if you're still missing key phrases, consider using English subtitles or a transcript. As soon as you catch what you missed, pause. Let that new information sink in, then replay the segment again without subtitles. You're essentially training your brain to recognize and recall that snippet of audio. This kind of focused repetition has solid backing in cognitive psychology. It leverages the idea that spaced, deliberate exposure helps solidify learning. Now I know you might be thinking, that sounds time-consuming. But investing even 15 minutes a day in this targeted approach can rapidly accelerate your listening ability. You'll start noticing patterns, how words connect, the nuances of intonation where the speaker pauses, and how certain colloquial expressions pop up. Instead of being overwhelmed by a full TV episode, you're systematically training your ear to pick up real-world English, piece by piece. Next, let's look at the idea of mindset readiness. Listening in a foreign language can be stressful. Maybe you're worried you won't understand enough, or you'll zone out in the middle of a conversation. That anxiety can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. We know from studies in psychology that when you approach a task feeling tense or certain you'll fail, your performance usually suffers. The solution: a simple pre-listening ritual that calms your nerves and sets you up for success. This could be 30 seconds of deep breathing or a quick positive affirmation, such as, "I'm ready to catch new words and learn from them." It sounds small, but these tiny rituals can reduce performance anxiety and sharpen your focus. When your mind is calm and engaged, you're more likely to catch subtle details, the ones that turn a fuzzy sentence into a clear message. Let's also talk about the power of note-taking. You might think of listening as purely an auditory activity, but introducing a visual element, like jotting down keywords or short phrases, can help your memory. If you're watching a video or listening to a podcast, keep a notepad nearby. Write down any words you notice are repeated often or expressions that pique your interest. Even writing quick bullet points about the main ideas can help you process what you're hearing. That act of writing creates another channel in your brain, reinforcing what you just heard. Plus, you can revisit your notes to review vocabulary or key topics later, effectively turning your listening session into an ongoing learning resource. One question that often pops up is how to handle different accents. English, as we know, is spoken in countless variations. British English, American English, Australian English, Indian English, each has its own rhythms, pronunciation quirks, and expressions. My advice is to start with a variety that interests you or that you're most likely to encounter in your daily life. Build a strong foundation with that accent first, then gradually branch out. Seek out podcasts or YouTubers from different regions. This exposure trains your ear to pick up on universal markers of English while also developing the flexibility to understand different pronunciations. At first, it might be frustrating, but think of it like learning a new dialect of the same language. Over time, you'll realize that your ear has become more attuned to the subtle differences, making you a truly versatile listener. Now let's discuss the concept of predictive listening, which is basically anticipating what a speaker is going to say next. If you're talking to someone about a recipe, for instance, you can guess words like chop, stir, boil, or ingredients. If you're watching a news report on business trends, terms like market, stocks, or growth are likely to appear. By mentally forecasting potential words and phrases, you give your brain a head start. You'll be ready for them when they actually pop up, making it easier to follow along at a natural pace. This approach ties back to the idea that listening is active. You're not passively waiting for the words to arrive, you're primed and ready for them. Of course, motivation is a huge factor in language learning, including listening skills. One tip I give my clients is to choose listening materials that genuinely excite them. If you're a sports enthusiast, listen to sports commentary or post-game discussions. If you're into politics, check out political debates or analysis. By aligning your practice with your interests, you'll be more engaged and less tempted to tune out. Your brain naturally gravitates toward content that sparks your curiosity, which will keep you glued to the speech, subconsciously honing your comprehension. Another surprisingly effective approach is to incorporate what I call conversation salvage drills. This is where you practice responding to audio or video prompts that you only partially understand. Instead of getting frustrated at the incomplete comprehension, you train yourself to piece together meaning from context. For instance, suppose you hear a short clip and you only catch 70% of it. Try to explain in English what you think the speaker meant. Then replay the clip to see how close you were. This method helps you develop contextual guessing skills and keeps you in a problem-solving mindset rather than a perfectionist one. In real-world conversations, you rarely catch every single word. Being comfortable with a bit of ambiguity and learning to fill in the gaps can be a game changer. Let's shift gears slightly and talk about the social dimension of listening practice. One of the most powerful motivators in language learning is community, having people who support and challenge you. If you can find a language buddy or a small study group, set up listening sessions where you all watch the same clip or listen to a podcast episode. Afterward, discuss what you understood, what was confusing, and any interesting phrases you discovered. Comparing notes helps everyone learn faster, and it gives you a sense of accountability. Plus, it's just more fun to share the experience, which keeps you motivated to continue practicing. If you're wondering about a good starting point for choosing your audio materials, podcasts can be fantastic because they come in a variety of lengths and focus areas. Many also provide transcripts for free. This means you can listen first without the transcript, then listen again while following along with the text. It's a perfect setup for mindful, targeted listening practice. Gradually, you can move on to more spontaneous audio formats like live streams or talk radio, which don't have a script. That's a true test of your comprehension skills, but also an excellent way to pick up real-time speech patterns. We should also discuss the importance of celebrating small victories in your listening journey. Maybe you understood an entire podcast episode without pausing or translated a tricky segment in your head without too much struggle. Take a moment to acknowledge that progress. Reward yourself, maybe with a quick break, a treat, or by sharing your success with a friend. This positive reinforcement signals your brain that learning is rewarding, not stressful. In motivational psychology, we emphasize the power of incremental gains. Every bit of progress adds to your sense of competence and keeps you pushing forward, even when you face more challenging material down the road. Let's not forget about the role of consistent, dedicated practice. A lot of learners do a massive, concentrated push, like a 2-hour session, and then they're burned out for the next week. A more effective approach is to break your practice into shorter, daily or almost daily sessions. Maybe 15 to 30 minutes a day with one particular focus each time. Maybe today you work on a short news clip, tomorrow a YouTube vlog, and the next day a scene from a TV show. You want to build a habit where listening practice is simply part of your routine. Over time, you'll find that your comprehension has improved so much that you can watch or listen to more advanced content comfortably. Let me also highlight the importance of stepping out of your comfort zone. If you always stick to the same speaker or the same type of content, like the same teacher on YouTube or the same newscaster, you risk getting too comfortable with that one style. Challenge yourself by exploring different topics and different voices. If you're into business, try listening to a comedy podcast occasionally. If you love pop culture, check out a scientific discussion on a topic you're curious about. Diversity keeps your listening skills adaptable and your brain stimulated. Finally, remember that nobody becomes an expert listener overnight. It's a gradual process that requires patience, strategy, and the willingness to embrace occasional frustration. If you ever feel stuck, remind yourself that every single step forward, no matter how small, is progress. Think of your listening skill like a muscle. It strengthens with consistent training, rest, and proper technique. So here's my challenge for you. After watching this video, pick one of these strategies. Maybe it's the targeted listening block, maybe it's conversation salvage drills, and dedicate the next week to applying it. Track your progress, celebrate your wins, and note any stumbling blocks. As you get comfortable, layer in another strategy. Over time, you'll see that your ear is picking up words you used to miss. You're understanding accents that used to confound you, and you're following conversations at natural speed with far less stress. Thank you so much for joining me today. I genuinely hope these insights will empower you to take your listening skills to the next level. Remember, comprehension is the foundation of communication, and with the right techniques, you can make that foundation rock solid. Stay patient, stay curious, and keep challenging yourself with new audio materials. It might feel tough at first, but your future fluent self will thank you for every ounce of effort you invest now. Thanks again for tuning in. Now go out there and put these methods into practice. Trust me, you've got this.